Hi everyone, today I'm creating 3 gorgeous cards, all using my favorite techniques, ink blending and stenciling. I'll show you how to combine them in different ways to get completely unique looks, step by step. And I will be demonstrating the techniques by using products from the latest release by Waffle Flower. By the way, you can see on screen right now a coupon code that you can use, which is exclusive for my audience. For the first card, I'm starting with ink blending and I'm going to use an ink blending tool. You see I have the one with the dome and I'm using 3 different shades of blue. I'm starting from lighter all the way to darker or to more vibrant, let's say. And I'm using this cloud stencil that you can rotate to get different shapes and you can just move the stencil all the way from top to bottom. I find that these type of stencils are just gorgeous. They create the perfect background for happy cards. And you can see how I created the first 2 layers. I'm going to move on to the second color. And you can definitely use any type of color combination for that. Just go to town. You can create something that looks like a sunset if you bring in some oranges, for example, or even some purples. You can go with a darker sky or a cloudy sky with, if you use a really darker shade of blues and maybe grays. There are so many different ways that you can use it. For this one, I decided to go with a very, very vibrant color. You see, this is Salty Ocean. But I absolutely love the vibrancy that it gives at the very bottom. Now, you can definitely use just one color and go monochromatic. Another way that you can go with this is that you can use a grip mat underneath to hold the paper and the stencil. You see here it is really difficult for me to hold it down, but since I need to rotate the stencil, I just decided to do it without a grip mat underneath, and I think it works just fine. Now I'm really happy with the background. I'm just going to add some really tiny details at the bottom. And as I'm finishing my panel, I just need to let you know that I'm back to my regular schedule. From next week, I will be posting way more content like I usually do. So I'm very happy with my background. Now I will work on the focal points. For that, again, I'm going to play with dies, and this is a lovely set of hibiscus. I am going to cut out everything out of white cardstock. Now, my favorite thing to do with die cuts is lately is to cut them out from white cardstock and then just have fun with my inks and ink blending, so I can play with all the different colors and I can bring in my different blending tools to do the shading and everything. I feel like it is more creative than just using plain cardstock, colored cardstock, but it really depends on the time that you have and what you actually love doing. So here you see I'm using one of those shading brushes to add some darker shade of green at the base of the leaves, and you see I'm mixing up different brands of inks. Just use whatever you have. It doesn't matter if it is a dye ink and a distress ink, then you can absolutely blend them together. And here I'm just using brown for the branches. I will go with yellow inks for the center of the flowers and with pinks for the couple of flowers. Now it is really easy to put it together. All you do is to just stick the brown branch on top of the other one. So it's going to give you all the details, the pointy branches on top of the leaves. Then here I'm just putting together everything. For the flowers, it's just super simple. Just stick the center of the flower on top. And then there are those little stamens, I believe they are called, that you can stick at the center. Those are the super tiny ones, and it always comes handy to have one of those pickup tools with a wax pointy tip, just to hold those. And then let's put it together on top of the card. I do have tiny foam squares at the back of the leaves at the branch, so it gives me some dimension. Now I'm going to stick the flowers completely randomly, but then I thought that I wanted to use a hummingbird as my actual focal point. So I do have this die set from the latest release by Waffle Flower. This gives you different birds looking on different sides. I'm going to use the one that is looking that way. And I need to make sure that this is going to fit on top of my card, so I have to remove the flower on another position. So I can now put together the bird. Now, one thing that I like to do when I put together the cards is that although I'm using foam square at the back, I don't press too hard. This way it is kind of forgiving, and if I need to reposition the elements like I did with the flower here, I can always do that with no drama. Now I'm inking the different parts, only 3 different parts for the bird, but I think that it comes together beautifully. I want to recreate this card with another color for my bird. I think that it would look beautiful with greens as a hummingbird on top, or even metallics, so that you have some shine on the bird. Anyway, for this one I just went with yellows and oranges, and I am going to use a foam square for the top part of the bird, just to give it more dimension. So just one foam square will do, and I did use a foam square for the wing as well, so those 2 layers are leveled at the top. But for the head, I want it to be squeezed down, so I combine glue with foam square for this layer. You will see what I'm gonna do here. This way it's not going to pop up at the top and you can see the eye better. So this goes in place, and now I have some space underneath for my sentiment. For the sentiment, I'm going to go with this stamp set. I love the script on this one, very long and thin. And I'm going to go with just a simple hello so that I can use this card for pretty much any occasion. I'm going to stamp that with VersaFine Clair. I find that it's very vibrant and gives the perfect impression for sentiments. Look at that, I didn't even use a stamping tool. And then I do have the matching die, so I'm going to use one of them to cut it out. And I'm going to place it on top of my card. Now, I did use glue at the back, and for some reason here I felt that it would look better if it was off center. So that's why I'm going to stick it on one side of the card, just underneath my hummingbird. But then I decided to add a sub-sentiment, and I have some pre-made ones from Waffle Flower here. So this is where this card comes a little bit strange. So for some reason, just because I added the hello off center, now it looks kind of weird, I don't know. Anyway, in the end it looks balanced, but I think it would be better if I had the hello dead center. Anyway, I am going to use some foam squares at the back. I cannot move hello at this point because there is glue underneath. So anyway, I think it looks okay. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to stick this panel on top of my pre-folded card base, and then just because I don't know when to stop with card details, I'm going to add some golden accents on top of those stamens on my flowers. And then I'm going to bring in another contour liner. This one is Iridescent. And I'm just going to add some dots. I feel like those dots always give something whimsical, a whimsical touch on my cards. And my card is finished. Here are some close-up photos where you can see the details better, and I absolutely love the vibrancy of the colors. Now let's move on to the second card, where I will go with a more easy background. So I'm using those 2 panel dies that you can actually combine if you want. This is the result. I just cut out the one out of blue cardstock, the other out of white cardstock. And then for my focal points, I'm going with the trio of butterflies. Now look, this stamp has the 3 butterflies connected, so you can easily create a panel and you don't really need to cut out anything. So I'm stamping here with black ink, and this is a big stamp, so I am using a stamping platform so that I can stamp that one more time. You see, I didn't get a perfect impression. So once I have that done, I'm going to use a matching stencil and I'm going to do some ink blending, which I absolutely love. So there is this stencil that you can use and you can play with all different color combinations that you love. I decided to go kind of simple for this one, just combining a couple of colors for the top butterfly, yellow and pink for some deeper details at the bottom. Then I end up having a purple butterfly. Again, I did some darken ink blending on some areas, and then I have a green one. Now you can use that panel as it is on top of a card, or if you have the matching dies, you can definitely cut out a sentiment as well as all the butterflies, just like I did. On the back I used foam squares, and I'm adding the sentiment in between the butterflies, and my card is pretty much ready. If you want, you can add some gems, some pearls. I'm using my trusted contour liner here in white, and I'm just going to add some little details here and there. And my card is ready. Absolutely love the beautiful background as well as how it helps the colors to pop on the butterflies. And moving on to card number 3, and again I'm staying with the butterfly theme but for a completely different look. This is a die set that gives you different pieces that you can mix and match to create your very own butterfly shapes. So I'm just picking a couple of them. Again, I cut out everything from white cardstock so that I can play with my inks and do my ink blending. I'm going with pretty much the same colors that I used for the previous cards, yellows and purples, since I did have those ink pads on my table. So I'm going to put together the butterfly, and you can use as many of those layers as you like to pop one on top of the other. You can stick them kind of offset like I'm doing here, so you can see the color popping from behind. Then there are 3 different shapes for bodies for your butterfly. I'm using just one of them, and I did cut out this one from metallic colored cardstock just to give some shine on my butterfly. I'm just sticking one on top of the other. My butterfly is ready. Again, I went ahead and used one of the panels that I used on the previous card to give some interest on the background. You cannot really tell here, but you will see the beautiful design on the finished photos. Now, just because I love mixed media and I love splatters, I just had to do that because it looked too empty. You don't have to do it. You can completely omit splattering if that's not your vibe. But I absolutely love how it looks. Now I'm going to use this die and cut out a white panel. This is going to be the area where I'm going to place the butterfly on top so that I can help that little element pop even more. And then again, because I'm doing ink blending with stenciling for all those 3 cards, I'm going to use the matching stencil and add a little bit of color on one side of the tag. So I went for an ombre look. You see I have a darker shade on one corner going all the way to white, and the stencil helped that stitching all around to stay white. Now I did cut out the word hugs many times. I think there are actually 4 of them, and I am going to use the word as a background element. So I made sure that I cut out that from the metallic cardstock that I used to cut out the body of the butterfly. And by sticking this word here and there on the background, I'm going to add metallic effect all over the background, making it look more interesting. And at the same time, I'm adding dimension, so lots of visual texture here. I am going to use my scissors to cut off the excess, and of course you can use the little pieces that you cut out to stick them in different areas where you feel like it is kind of empty. I didn't add anything at the center because you see that's where I'm going to add the tag with my butterfly. I'm threading through some ribbon that I had in my stash, and I tried to use a ribbon that is transparent and doesn't add any color at all, since I don't want to introduce any new color here. I'm going to stick that on top of my panel a little bit offset. Don't ask me why, sometimes I do things for no reason. And then I stamped the word hugs using the same little stamp set of sentiments that I used in the previous card. And I'm just placing that there by using glue at the back. So this is absolutely a favorite from all the 3 cards that I made for today. Let me know in the comments below which one of the cards was your favorite. You can find links to all the products that I used down below in the description. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope that you had fun and that you got inspired.